Hello everyone and welcome to Intellipaat. This video is going to be about Linux training part 2. Now let us take a look at the agenda for this part. Firstly, I'll be introducing commands, Linux commands such as chmod and chown. Followed by I'll be showing you guys how to list files. And finally, we will have a session about displaying content in a file. But before we begin, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for regular updates.
We've seen a lot about file permissions, users and groups. So now let us look at these two commands which are really important and highly used commands, which is chmod and chown. Basically it's ch modifications and ch ownership. So these commands are highly used. Now let us look at these commands. So first, modifying permissions. Chmod is the command which you can use to modify the permission of a file or a directory. So you saw that read permissions were there, then write permissions and all that. So let's say you have a file and you have written it and you have saved it. Now you don't want anybody to write inside that file. Now you can basically change your file permissions and remove the write permission from that file so that even you cannot write inside that file unknowingly. So that's how you can use it. And to add or remove a permission, you can use plus or minus. So you can see some examples in the behind. You can see chmod u plus x 1.txt and doing an ls minus l 1.txt. Basically what it did is it removed or it added x over here and it removed x from both of these places. And then again chmod u minus x 1 minus txt. So basically this particular file did not have permissions already, so that's why it is showing that this place is empty. And then while removing minus x, that is execution, it removes x from every single place of this entire permission. So rw dash rw dash r dash dash. So x was removed from every single permission, that is the user permission, the group permission, as well as the other or process permission. And then another way to modify permissions are providing numbers. Now numbers, let's say 4 is read permission, 2 is write permission and 1 is execute permission. So here you can see rw and x. So rw and x. So the addition of rw and x is 7. That is 4, 2 and 1, which is 7. So now coming down, so you can see here chmod 7551.txt. So now what this would have done is 7 in the sense it is 4 plus 2 plus 1, which is 7. That means give all reader access, and 5 means it is 4 plus 1. Then it is remove write access from group permissions and remove write access from other permissions. So that is what 755 means. And you can see here rwx, the read permissions has every single permission. The group permission does not have write, as I said, and even the other permissions does not have write, as I said. So now you can see here, but what is 755? There was no 7 or 5 over here. So now coming over here, 4 plus 2 plus 1 is equal to 7. So all access is permitted. So that's what happened here in the first place, that is 7. Then 5, which is basically 4 plus 1 is equal to 5, read and execute permissions. So that's what was provided in the second and third options. But we did not use 6 over here. 6 basically provides read and write permissions and it does not provide execute permissions. So this is one more way to change it. One way is to use plus and minus, second way is to use numbers. Then ownership permission. Ownership permission is chown. So like modifying the file's permissions, we can also modify the users and groups ownership of the file, and for that we must use chown. So you can see here again ls minus l2.txt. So forget about the part where we saw the file permissions. Now just concentrate on this particular part, which is root and root, which are basically the ownership of this particular file. So 2.txt, you can see the ownership was with root and root. So now I wanted permission, so I used the command chown cody 2.txt, and you can see the change over here. So even as a user cody, I've got the permission to use this particular file called 2.txt. So this is how you can use chown, and there are some other ways of doing it. So now you can see here chown username, file name, ownership of file for user. So let's say I created a file, but let's say Intellipaat created a file, the user Intellipaat, and this particular user wants to give that permissions to Intellipaat 2 user. So now this particular user Intellipaat can simply provide chown, Intellipaat 2 and file name, and the file permissions will be provided to that particular user. And then there is group and group name and file name. So group is basically changing the ownership of a group. So if you have created a group, you can use the command chgrp and group name and file name, so that that group has the file permissions. So let's say this 2.txt, that particular file will have, so every user under that group will have permissions to either access or not access that file according to the permissions provided. And then chown username group name file name. So now both user and group at the same time. So let's say you want to give permissions to a user who's not in a group and also to the entire group. So now you can use this way of doing it. Own username group name file name. So this will give permissions to both to the user as well as the group. Now hands-on chmod and chown. Let us do this in the console. Let us proceed with the hands-on part. So let me open my, it's just a little bit slow. This is again, I'll just restart it. So I've restarted it. Okay, now let's get started with chmod and chown. I'll open the terminal, then we'll execute few examples of how you can use chmod and how you can use chown. Now let me first open the, so here we'll do the chmod part first. So I'll create a file, then after creating a file, we'll change some permissions and check whether it changes or not, and then we'll change the, and after that we'll use numbers to do that, and after that we'll use chmod to change the permission of a user as well as the permission of the group. So that we'll do. So now going back here, now opening the terminal. So first let me make this bigger again. So I made it bigger. Okay, so now let's start off with it. So first let me create a file, touch. So as I told you, touch is just to create a file. I'm going to make it as hello.txt or just file1.txt. Yeah, I've created the file, and there is a file, file1.txt, ls-l. So this command will show me whether it, about the file permissions. So you can see it has read write permissions for users, read write permissions for the group, and only read permission for processes. So the user is Intellipaat and the group is also Intellipaat. So now I'm going to use chmod to change this. So chmod u plus x, this is just for the user, u plus x, and file1.txt. So done. Now again lsl. So now you can see I've added the execute permissions just for the user. So now let me do one more thing. Now I'll do for G for the group. Sorry. Now let us try. There it goes. Yeah, so I've added it for the group as well. So now let me add the write permissions. Sorry, let me remove the write permissions from group. So done. So you can see I've removed the write permissions from the group, but I've provided the execute permissions. So now I want to remove write and provide only read for others or processes. So for that it is O, and it is going to be, I'm going to remove R and I'm going to add W. I gave 0 instead of O. So done. So now if I do an ls, so now you can see I've provided only W, the write permissions for others or permissions, others or processes. So this is what I did using chmod. So now let's do one more thing. So now we'll give permissions using numbers. Now I'm giving 777. So what does 777 mean? 777 is basically providing every single permission to that file. So file1.txt. So now if you view it, now you can see this particular file has every single permission. So let me change it to 756. So what will this do? So this will basically make this, it will remove the write permissions from group, and this 6 will basically remove the execute permission from others. So let me enter and again do an lsl. So you can see it took off the write permissions and it took off the execute permissions. Now let us do one more thing. So I will remove the write permission from the user. So let's say our user is Intellipaat. So I'm going to remove the write permission from this file, which basically is 3. Only write, if I remove the write permission, it is basically 5, read and execute. So I'll give 5, 5, 6, it's going to be the same. So now, yeah, so only read and execute is there. Now let me open this file, and you can see it is unwritable because the user does not have permissions. Coming back, let me change this once again. I'll provide write permissions as well as read and execute because they are already available. So now let me try nano again. So now I can write because I have provided the permissions to write. So this is how you can use chmod. So let me just close this. Okay, now we've done chmod. Let's do chown. So while I'm doing this, lsl file1.txt, you can see Intellipaat and Intellipaat over here. So this is the user and this is the group. So you get it, I guess. So now let us change the group which can access this file. So it is chown and the group name. So first, I don't know the groups, so I'm going to grab I'm just going to do a cat. So it's Intellipaat 2, Intellipaat 3, Intellipaat. There are no other groups. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a group, sudo group add dev. I've created a group. So now let's try this once again. But this time I'm not going to cat. I'm going to grub dev. So a group is available. So we've created a group. Now we'll have to add users to this group. So I'm going to add Intellipaat. So sudo g password. So you'll have to provide this. For add it's -a. Then you'll have to provide the username, which is going to be Intellipaat, and then the group name, which is dev. So adding user Intellipaat to group dev, it's added. So now we can check by doing this, and it is added. You can see that over here. So now we've created a group and added it. Now let us change the permission of file. So now let us change the permission of file1.txt. So this particular group Intellipaat is going to change to group dev. So to do that, it's simple chown. So we saw this file name, username and group name and file name. This is the syntax. You can provide the username over here, group name over here, and file name over here. So right now we just want to change the group name. So for that we can either give the group name like this, dev and file1.txt. So it needs, so now it has changed. Now let us check file1 once again. So now you can see Intellipaat and dev, the group name has changed. So we've done that. You also have another option to change that. So you can use this command, chgroup and group name. So now checking once again. So now you can see the group has been changed back to Intellipaat. So the same way you can also change the file owner. So chown and Intellipaat 2. So now let's check. Now you can see the user has been changed to Intellipaat 2 because we changed the file ownership. So now let's do this nano file1.txt and do an ls. So you can see I created a wrong file. I have to open file1.txt. So you can see it is unwritable for me because I've changed the permissions to Intellipaat 2. That is another user. So right now I don't have permissions, but so let me change it once again. Sudo chown Intellipaat and file name. So now if I open file1.txt, I should be able to write. Yeah, because I'm the user who has permissions over this file right now. So I should be able to write. So done. So chown and chmod, these are the operations you can do with chown and chmod. It's very helpful and I think you can use this. So let me go back to the slides. We've done all these. Yeah. So we'll be learning to use the ls command or listing files. So first the command itself is ls, the command name is ls, and if you type it in any directory, you will be given a list of all the documents under it. So you can see the example over here. I've typed in ls, it shows the files and the documents, and there is a file which is green in color as well. So basically a green color file is a file with executable permissions. So that's why ls shows it in green color coding. So you can see down, so one of the most used command in Linux environment, because most of the time once we create or when we manage files and folders, we use the ls command, and there are a lot of options using ls. You can basically, if you type in ls, you will see all the directories and files. If you type in ls -l, you will see the permissions as well as the file names, the directory names. So like that, there are still a lot of different options. We'll explore them. So first command shows ls. So ls shows, first let us just type in ls and check. Let's start off with ls. And yeah, so you can see there are these are the directories which are in blue in color. These are the files, white and green. So white shows green in the sense. So you see 2.sh. Let us see 2.sh, 2.sh. So you can see there are no executable permissions. So by the way, let us see file 1.sh. Sorry, file1.txt, and you can see there are executable permissions for both for both user and groups. So that's why it is showing it in green color. So that's not we are here for. First ls, and then second option is ls minus l. That's what we saw. It shows all the files, it shows all the directories, but with the user and the group name who are accessible for it. So let's say I've changed it for this. So it will show the user and the group, and then it will show the date. So it will show the time as well, it will show the date as well. So you can see that. And then these are directories have their own number, which is, so it shows all the details over here. So going back to the PPT, and this is what LSL does. Now coming down, and shows all permissions and access related info in human readable form. Going back, so here you can see 38.6, 13.6 and 15. So these are basically bytes, the number of bytes this particular file or this directory has in it. So now let us use this, which is minus h. So you can see this minus lh will provide the same output with in a human readable form. So you can see right now it is still 38.6, 13, 15 because the file size is very small. But coming to the PPT, you can see here I've downloaded some pictures. So basically it was 4096, that is it was 4096 bytes. Basically it was 4 KB. So once I've used the lh command, it has changed it to 4K, that is 4 KB again, and here it became 12K. Previously it was 12, and even here it shows 16K, here it was 16. So that is the total size of this particular directory. So now closing this, now let us look at more options. And then there is F, capital F. So let's do capital F, and this shows the difference between directories. So it shows a backslash with it. So going to the PPT, you can see it shows all directories with a backslash at the end. To differentiate it between files, it shows this. And then next option is minus R. So shows subdirectories recursively. So let's do this again. So basically what this particular option does is it shows every single directory. So it shows all the files and the names of the directories, and then it shows the directories with the sub files of them. But currently there are no sub files. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open documents, and I'm going to I've created 2 files in them. So done. So now I'm getting back. Okay, so now let's run the same command once again, and now you can see under documents there are 2 files. So that's what this R does. It shows every single file under the subdirectories of that particular directory. Now going back, and then there is minus version. This is basically shows the version of the ls command which is installed in your distribution. And in this we'll be learning how to display contents of a file. We have various ways of doing that. We'll be looking at some ways of it, few different commands to do that. Okay, so these are the 4 commands which I wanted to show. First head, first 10 lines, and then tail, last 10 lines. grep searches for a pattern. I think we've used grep multiple times already. Then cat, again we've also used cat, but we have not used head and tail. So we'll do head and tail. Okay, so let me go to, okay, so now let's see if I have any files. Yeah, I have demo.txt. First I'll do head demo.txt. So we can see it's showing the first 5 lines, but head basically shows the first 10 lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open demo.txt, and I'm going to enter multiple lines so that it will be easy for us to debug. So there are so many lines, so I'm just going to make these bigger lines. Okay, so it's fine, I've done it. Okay, so now let's do head once again, and you see now it shows only the top 10 lines, the first 10 lines. And the tail command will show the last 10 lines. So you can see that as well. Tail command shows the last 10 commands. Now grep asd demo.txt. So you can see grep is finding a pattern called asd, and it is showing all those lines which has that particular pattern. So let's just type in, so it again found a pattern, so that's why you use grep. And then finally we have cat basically provides the entire file. So you can see that over here. And few more things you can do with the tail and header. I think in tail you can use the end command to show. So you can see it shows only the last 4 lines, and in head again you can do that, and it shows the first 5 lines. So basically you can use these commands to display the contents of a file as well as track them. So using grep you can see every single instance of a particular name inside a particular file, which is very helpful for recognizing patterns. So that's what we did right now. So for example, I'll open demo.txt once again. Okay, so I've opened demo.txt. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter the username, which is Intellipaat, in various places. It's a wrong spelling. Okay, so I entered in 3 different places. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use grep to find it, but I'm not going to use my username directly. I'm going to use a meta character dollar and a command called whoami, which basically reads the username. So grep whoami demo.txt. So now you can see it is reading my username, and then it is using my username to find a pattern inside demo.txt. Here we are using both the displaying contents. For finding a pattern we are using grep, as well as we are using the whoami command, and also we are using a meta character to basically read the whoami command. So if you just type in whoami, it searches for whoami. If you put the dollar command in, the dollar meta character in front of it, basically it means that the value of whoami, which is Intellipaat. So that's what it does. So this is how you use tail, head, grep, and finally cat. You can do all these operations using all these commands. There are still a lot of commands, but these are the most basic commands.
Just a quick info, guys. Intellipaat provides Linux administration online training mentored by industry experts, the course link of which is given in the description below. Now, let's continue with the session.